I can't decide if it's ghoulish or genius, Cassandra said, leaning against the doorway of my office with a tablet clutched to her chest. She wore the slight smirk that always preceded the delivery of unsettling news at the station. But you'll want to see the numbers. I minimized the draft of my weekend feature and waved her in. Cassandra flicked the tablet screen. Charts bloomed, showing a jagged mountain of viewership statistics. The peaks were daunting. 43,000 simultaneous viewers, she said, for a middle-of-nowhere funeral in Nelson County. Because of the celebrity gossip, I asked. A local philanthropist had died last month. I assumed the spike was morbid curiosity surrounding her estate. Cassandra shook her head and zoomed in on the graph. No, this was yesterday. The deceased was a retired plumber, ordinary guy. But the wake stream went viral on Death Watch within minutes. Death Watch was the app everyone claimed they'd never use, though half the newsroom secretly did. It offered live feeds of wakes around the country, parked within a sleek black interface. Viewers could send virtual lilies, pay premiums for private angles, or chat with relatives. I'd looked at it exactly once, felt shamed by the commercialization, and closed the tab. So why the numbers? I asked. Because half the top chat accounts dropped dead while they were watching. Literally died. The police reports are trickling in. It's all over closed forums. She exhaled, as though trying to blow away her own disbelief. They died the moment the corpse's eyes fluttered. I blinked. Fluttered? Cassandra nodded. Nictitating tremor, one mortician called it, a muscle spasm. Happens sometimes. But the second those eyelids flickered on camera, at least 12 viewers collapsed. Heart attack, brain aneurysm, one traffic accident because a driver was streaming it on his dashboard. She slid me the tablet. A grainy screen capture showed the deceased lying peacefully, burial suit crisp. The eyelids were parted a millimeter, enough to reveal a sliver of clouded cornea. I felt an irrational shudder. Weird coincidence. That's the angle corporate wants. Coincidence. She tucked hair behind her ear. But my cousin works triage at Mercy General. They admitted 3 patients within 10 minutes of one another, all with phones open to that stream. Cardiac rhythm identical, like someone flipped a switch. She thumped the doorframe twice. We have to look deeper, Nate. I had made a career from unraveling hushed disasters, factory leaks, corporate graft, the occasional cult. Yet something about Cassandra's urgency made me stall. The boundary between sensation and superstition was razor thin, and our newsroom teetered on it daily. Still, numbers were numbers, and unexplained deaths were a reporter's ignition. I pocketed the tablet. Set up the interviews. Let's find the funeral home. Fern Hill. Memorial sat on the edge of Nelson's only 4-lane highway, surrounded by soybean fields bronzing for autumn. The building looked born from a catalog. White pillars, tasteful pewter signage, a big picture window glimpsing immaculate caskets. Inside, the scent of lilies braided with ammonia. Digital kiosks glowed between racks of urns, offering visitors a self-guided tour of services. Sustainable cremation, cedar-lined companion plots, and, front and center, living memory TM, live wake streams. An assistant director greeted us, a tall man named Orrin, cheeks flush as though his blood raced faster than social etiquette allowed. When we introduced ourselves as journalists, he smoothed his tie, ushering us toward a vacant chapel. We expected someone sooner, he said. Corporate PR prepped us for coverage. His smile was a diagram of sincerity, though the corners tremored. Terrible coincidence about those viewers. He led us to the lectern where a neat camera rig perched, a mirrorless Sony with a motorized mount, haloed by diffused LED panels, a hallmark of modern funerary marketing. High resolution, low latency, global grief on demand. Is this the same setup from yesterday? Cassandra asked. Orrin nodded. Every chapel is identical. 4-point lighting, 8K capture at 60 frames. We tested electromagnetic output, radiation, everything, perfectly safe. I circled the rig. The lens reflected a funhouse version of the chapel. Plush carpet, rosewood casket, rows of empty chairs. Who designed the platform? A tech partner in Montreal, Livestream. Oren pronounced the name with rehearsed gravity, as though we'd all heard of them. They provide infrastructure, encoding, regional compliance. We just focus on compassionate care. Cassandra fixed him with her eyes see-through veneer expression. Did they focus on compassionate care when viewers started dropping dead? He swallowed. Again, we're cooperating fully with investigators. Local medical examiner says there's no causal connection. Sudden cardiac death is common in high-stress scenarios. Watching a stranger's funeral counts as high stress, I murmured. Any emotional event can be a trigger, Oren said. Some cultures wail at wakes, some faint. Humans are fragile when facing mortality. Cassandra flipped open a notebook. We'd like the raw VOD of yesterday's stream, plus your access logs. His smile frayed. That data is proprietary. We can't relinquish without a subpoena. I inhaled to defuse. Fine. Off the record, did anyone here witness the eyelid movement? Oren hesitated. Yes. Our embalmer, Mrs. Kelso. 40 years in the profession. She said it was a typical post-mortem fasciculation. Can we speak with her? She took leave this morning. Oren's gaze darted to the hallway. Family emergency. Classic dodge. Cassandra scribbled anyway. I studied the camera again. A pinhole microphone on its base emitted a faint hiss. Standard. But something else tugged. A thin silver emblem glued to the lens housing. An abstract knot of 3 loops, almost Celtic. When's your next wake? I asked. This afternoon, 4 p.m. He brightened, as if we'd asked about the annual picnic. You're welcome to observe from the control room, but we can't allow footage without next of kin permission. We'll be here, I said. Cassandra nodded. We camped in the diner across the highway until the sky reddened. Cassandra chain-stirred her coffee. I pulled the patent filings for Livestream, she said, sliding her laptop around. The interface displayed blueprints overlaid with legal jargon. Their compression algorithm uses subliminal phase contrast, claims it maximizes emotional fidelity. Marketing gibberish, I said, though unease prickled. Phase contrast? In video? Listen to this. She scrolled. The stream layers adaptive ocular micro-gestures at 0.2 frames per second to maintain viewer engagement. I frowned. Micro-gestures? Sub-threshold animations inserted between frames. Explains why people think the deceased moved. Maybe they really do, but artificially. A half frame here, a half frame there. Your brain stitches it together. Makes sense for living subjects, I said. But with corpses? She shrugged. The algorithm might not discriminate. It just hunts for eyes, mouth, any face, and inserts the flicker. If viewers believe the dead open their eyes, panic alone could trigger cardiac events, I reasoned, relief stirring. Mass hysteria through suggestion. Except the medical reports show precise synchronization, Cassandra reminded me. Seconds apart, across different states, different health backgrounds. I drummed the table. Let's capture the stream today, run frame analysis ourselves. Cassandra produced a portable recorder, a gray rectangle bristling with ports. Brought it. She always packed extra paranoia. The control room resembled a minimalist podcast studio. 2 monitors, a mixing board, cables coiled like sleeping snakes. A lone technician, Lyra, greeted us with stoic nods. She never looked away from her screens. The deceased this afternoon was Mr. Alvin Dorsey, age 79. Heart failure, peaceful. The feed showed his body in an open walnut casket, white gloves folded over his chest. Mourners drifted in and out of frame, leaving bouquets. Cassandra linked her recorder and signaled we were live. I watched the timestamp. 3:59:48 p.m. The wake proceeded quietly. Lyra toggled between camera presets, zooming when grandchildren approached. pulling back during hymnal intervals. At 4:17, someone sobbed near the pulpit. The algorithm overlaid auto-generated captions for online viewers. Sobbing. Perfect accessibility. At 4:38, the chapel was still except for candle flicker. My eyelids drooped. Then the corpse blinked. Not a twitch. An unmistakable opening and closing, slow as dawn. Mr. Dorsey's cloudy pupils rolled upward before settling. My lungs froze. I checked the monitor timestamp. 16:38:42. Lyra cursed, stabbing controls. Camera glitch. But the gesture had looked organic, the way someone unsheathing a dream would open their eyes, realize the world, and retreat. An alert flashed on Lyra's second monitor. Viewer chat scrolled at epileptic speed. "Did you see that holy Stais he's alive?" I swallowed. "Cassandra, mark that frame." She was ahead, tapping hotkeys. "Got it." Then the room's fluorescent lights flickered. Lyra's hand jerked to her chest. She wheezed. Cassandra sprinted towards her as Lyra buckled sideways. I caught her shoulder, preventing a full collapse, but her face already grayed. Cassandra fumbled for her phone to call EMS. Lyra's pulse thumped wildly, then vanished, gone in under a minute. Within the monitor's chat feed, exclamation emojis erupted like fireworks. "My mom just collapsed. She was watching. OMG!" Adrenaline pummeled me. I yanked the HDMI cable from the main screen, an irrational act, killing the image as if that would halt something intangible racing along fiber lines. Sirens arrived 8 minutes later. Paramedics worked fruitlessly. Lyra joined the tally of victims. Back at the hotel, we quarantined ourselves from any screen, using only analog notebooks. Cassandra trembled, though the air conditioner was dead. "We both saw it," she whispered. "Not a jitter, not overlay. He moved." "But the algorithm could do that," I insisted, voice flat. "Insert micro frames. It can't animate muscle tension across 8 frames with shading continuity." Her pen scratched paper, mapping timestamps. And Lyra died immediately afterward. My skull thrummed. Psychogenic death? She was startled. "Stop." Cassandra flattened her hands. "We were startled too. We're alive." She had a point, and I felt no arrhythmia. Something targeted viewers, not physical proximity to the body. I opened the hotel notepad, sketched the silver emblem on the camera. "Recognize this?" Cassandra leaned. "Logo for Sigil Stream? Not on their website. I'll look." She pulled out her phone, then froze, as though the device might sprout fangs. Finally, she booted in airplane mode, captured a photo of my sketch, and cross-referenced offline images she'd saved. After a minute, her jaw set. "It's a bind rune," she said. "Old Norse, maybe. Combination of algiz and bera. Protection and bear." I frowned. "Why glue a protective rune onto a lens?" "Or containment," she countered. "If the camera's a prison, streaming releases what's inside." I laughed too sharply. "Sleep deprivation shock. It warps logic. Ghosts over gigabit internet?" Yet people were dying, and eyes were opening. Cassandra paced. "Remember that experiment with flicker frequencies triggering seizures? What if the eyelid flutter broadcasts a pattern that hacks our neural circuitry? Then why doesn't everyone die? Only some. Maybe susceptibility varies. Like epilepsy, certain brains resonate." I exhaled. A scientific framework offered relief. "So we isolate the pattern, warn the public, and Sigil Stream pays a fortune in lawsuits. First we need the VOD," she said, gloom returning. "And they'll wipe servers by morning." My phone vibrated, a restricted number. Against instinct, I answered. A graveled voice. "Stop investigating. Funerals are sacred. Let the dead rest." "Who is this?" Silence then. Streams cut both ways. The call dropped. I stared at the screen until it darkened. Cassandra glared. "Threat?" "Yeah." Fern Hill was cordoned by county deputies when we returned at midnight. Cassandra's press pass got us 10 minutes inside to retrieve equipment. Oren stood under a foyer chandelier, eyes rimmed red. "Another 3 viewers dead," he said, voice wrecked. "Corporate suspended all streams." "We need yesterday and today's raw files," Cassandra demanded. Oren's shoulders sagged. "Take them. I just want this gone." He handed a hard drive, the silver emblem stickered on its shell. Outside, a harvest moon glared. We drove to the station's digital forensics lab, an after-hours fluorescent cavern. I mounted the drive. Cassandra readied analysis scripts. The directory contained nested folders labeled by date, each holding 50 gigabyte .sigil files, proprietary container. "Codec unknown," Cassandra muttered. She ran fprobe. It spit errors. I disassembled a header in hex, searching for patterns. Standard bytes were punctuated by blocks of non-video data. Latin phrases repeated, "Nos perficere oculos." "We complete the eyes." I felt my pulse hammer. "The rune, eye completion," Cassandra translated aloud. "They aren't just compressing video, they're embedding a payload." "Digital steganography," I said. "But to what end?" She extracted one payload block. The checksum formed a 512 kilobyte chunk. We opened it raw. A monochrome bitmap erupted, lines swirling like fractal storm clouds. Gazing at it induced vertigo, as though the pattern tried to rearrange depth perception. "Looks like an interference pattern," Cassandra whispered. "Maybe when played at 60 frames superimposed, it encodes something." "Don't stare," I said, pulling her eyes away. I overlaid a heat map. Vector clusters converged in concentric circles, an iris. "It's literally an eye," she said. "They're building an eye through frames, completing it so it can look back." Chill. Another payload block decrypted into audio. Sub-20 Hz pulses, inaudible yet potent. A sub-bass gale. "Could affect autonomic nervous system," I muttered. "Trigger arrhythmia." So the fluttering eyes cue the pulses. When the dead opens their eye, the stream eye opens too, and the signal fires. Viewers' hearts misfire. Cassandra leaned against a server rack. "A weapon piggybacking on grief." I scrolled through logs. "Look, trigger routine waits for average viewer count above 10,000 before deploying. That's why only viral streams kill." She cursed softly. Someone built monetized murder. "But why?" I asked, though dread suggested answers. Chaos, ransom, technological black magic. We isolated the killer's code, zipped it. "We need federal cybercrime," I said. Before we could blend breath, the lab lights died. Battery backups groaned. Cassandra's laptop flickered, screen replaced by that swirling bitmap, brightness maxed. I flung a cable, yanking power. The display died. The hard drive's LED still danced, autonomous. Fans whirred like prayer wheels. "Air gap," Cassandra gasped, pulling network plugs. But the menace felt uncontained. Footsteps echoed in the hallway. We killed our flashlights, crouched behind desks. The door opened. A silhouette framed against exit signage. Mrs. Kelso, the embalmer who'd taken leave. She held a padded envelope. Her eyes glittered. "I told them not to mount the lenses until the rights were readied," she whispered, voice brittle. "Now it's loose." "What is it?" I asked from darkness. She sighed. "A drogger of data. A spirit of watching. Old as death, new as codec. It needs eyes to enter, cameras suffice." She set the envelope on a desk, stepped back. "Here are the rights. Burn them over closed circuit, ashes in salt, weld the lenses." "Why people dying?" Cassandra demanded. "Spillage. The drogger feeds on fear hearts produce. The bigger the stream, the richer the feast." "Why help us?" I embalmed those bodies, guilt rots. Her silhouette sagged. "But hurry. Its sight spreads. Every mirrored surface invites it." Sirens wah-wah'd outside. The building's silent alarm triggered by power loss, no doubt. Mrs. Kelso vanished down the hallway. We lacked hours for arcane ritual, but we could blind the creature, cut its broadcast. Root access to Sigil Stream's server farm? Cassandra asked. Montreal, I said. Maybe tunneled. My phone buzzed again. Unrestricted number. I ignored. We plugged her laptop into a cellular hotspot, risking contagion. The moment connection opened, code stormed across terminal windows. Sigil Stream firewalls interrogating. Cassandra danced keys, forging credentials from Oren's admin token. We located the central object store. Petabytes of .sigil encapsulations, each seeded with the Draugur's fragments. We delete everything, I said. Won't kill it, just disperse. She opened Mrs. Kelso's envelope. A single index card with the same tri-loop rune, encircled by text. Oculos claudere, mundum salvare. Close the eyes, save the world. Beneath sat a thumb drive. What's on that? She slotted it. A binary titled Vellum. Read me. Upload a top root. Propagates blackout frames 120 Hz for 24 hours. Blinds watchers. A counter signal, she breathed. Do it, I said. Cassandra dragged Vellum into the object store, executed a shell script. The progress bar crawled. Outside, sirens grew, then the lab monitors flickered. Every screen, including ours, displayed the Draugur eye, pupil dilating. Frequencies thrummed through floor. My teeth rattled. Cassandra muttered, "Come on, come on!" 52%, 68%, 89%. A low groan filled the circuits, like a modem possessed. The pupil fissured. Black triangles radiated, completed. All screens cut to soft white. Silence. Emergency power clicked back, overhead lights restored. I exhaled jagged air. Did it work? Global feed replaced with veil frames, Cassandra said. Viewers see blankness. Sirens arrived. Officers burst in, guns ready. We raised our hands, explaining nothing coherent. Weeks later, funerary streaming companies faced moratoriums. The FCC launched investigations. Sigil Stream's founders disappeared, offices gutted by fire. Cassandra's piece ran front page. Death went viral, how Wake Streams turned lethal. Editors trimmed the arcane bits. They sold it as tech negligence rather than specter. But we knew. The rune thumb drive remained locked in my desk, sealed with 3 wax stamps. Sometimes, when city sirens wail at dawn, I remember the eye dilating, hungry. Fern Hill reopened with no cameras. Mourners must now attend in person, hearts beating in fragile unison. I still avoid screens at funerals. The dead deserve rest, and we deserve not to be seen by what sees through them.